Hello and welcome to Real Chat with Kat, the podcast dedicated to igniting your entrepreneurial spirit and empowering you to conquer new horizons. In this podcast, we chat with inspiring entrepreneurs on their journey to success through some amazingly insightful and expansive conversations. These episodes thrive on thought-provoking chats where our guests fearlessly explore their path to success, sharing their experiences, failures, and triumphs. No topic is off limits as we deep dive into the talked about and not so talked about pieces it takes to build a business, overcome limiting beliefs, deal with personal struggles, and everything in between that shapes our lives and our businesses. I'm your host, Kat Polsinelli, creator and founder at The Lotus Effect, where we believe that success is not just about strategies and tactics, it's about cultivating a powerful mindset and creating customized business operations that align with you and your true purpose. Whether it's mastering time management, improving productivity, enhancing leadership skills, or simply fostering a growth-oriented mindset, we'll provide you with the tools and strategies to flourish in both your business and personal life. I'm so excited to have you join us today in this episode, so get ready to feel empowered and inspired as we learn together and from one another on how to rise above challenges, break through limitations, and unlock our full potential. Let's dive in. Hello, and thank you everyone for joining us today in this amazing episode. I'm so excited to have my guest with me today, Miss Camille Miller. So Camille, do us all a favor. Please tell us who you are, what it is that you do, and what got you into it.
Okay, it's a lot of questions, and thank you for having me. My name is Camille Miller. I am the pioneer for the Soul Professional Movement. I am founder and chief visionary for the Natural Life Business Partnership, which is a global professional organization for soul-aligned entrepreneurs that are looking for community and to build their business. I got into it because my background is actually in not-for-profit management, and I was doing that before I created this organization. I was CEO for the state of New Jersey for the Northeast Organic Farming Association, and I later became acting president of the Northeast, which put me in Washington working on our organic label and our food and health system. But it was in that role that I finally dovetailed like who I am at the core with what I do as a professional. And I realized that I was really playing a role of a professional many times to fit into the society's norms of what a professional should look like. You know, how they act, how they dress, how they present themselves, who they hang out with. But it was in that role that I really just got to be so authentic and so who I was and wear what I want and do strategies the way I needed to. So that job was defunded in 2015, and I found myself kind of looking at what's next in life for me. And although I was offered positions in universities and hospitals, I really felt that that no longer made my heart sing, and I wasn't really motivated by the big paycheck anymore and the title. It was really like, how am I really impacting the world? Because in organic food, especially in the United States, I was making some big impact, right? It was something I very much believed in. It was something that I lived myself. So I wanted that in my next career. And I'm an advocate at heart. So I really like to put all of my resources behind my beliefs. So in looking for whatever that next step might be, I was going to professional organizations and networking groups and seeing that I didn't really fit in that great, or people didn't love what I do. And I know in organics, they always talk to me as you people, right? Like I was someone less than what they were because they didn't like what I did, or they didn't believe in what I believed in. And that always really bothered me. And when I went to the business groups, I wasn't really accepted. And when I went to the holistic groups, I felt like they were way too woo-woo and not really grounded in business and not the professionals that I wanted to be associated with for where I wanted to go in the world. So I ended up creating my own little coffee club that we called the Natural Life Business Partnership. And I really felt at that time that we needed a professional organization that was for people like me, that wanted to be looked at as a professional and have that credibility and that mark of, yeah, I'm a professional and this is the way I do things, but I also happen to be very holistic lifestyled, right? I have a mission driven business. I am more motivated by my purpose than my profit. And things like that. And I knew that there were people in the world just like me. I just didn't know where they were. So at the time, I really didn't think that I had the gifts or any gifts really, but I knew how to build businesses. I didn't like running them, but I did know how to build them. So I thought the best way I could give back to the world was to help people bring their gifts to the world. And to really help others build these really strong businesses so their gifts were brought to everybody else. And that's how the whole thing started. We were a coffee club, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Connecticut. We kind of moved our way up the East Coast. And as we started to go west, I got a call from California saying, oh my gosh, I can't wait for you to get out here. And I knew in that moment that I did not have a sustainable model. And single mom. I had 3 young kids at the time that were all in high school. I was divorced. They lived with me full time. And I was trying to go like, okay, what do I have to do that I can grow this, and be at home? So we heard of this thing called Zoom. And we ended up launching in 2018 as the first non-chapter all virtual organization that we are today.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. And I started teaching people how to have a virtual business and to start using Zoom as a piece of your business. A lot of people still did in-person work, right? Or they had brick and mortar businesses. So we are industry agnostic and we're also gender agnostic. So it doesn't matter what you do, right? So we have doctors and scientists and website designers and accountants and lawyers and coaches and marketing professionals. Like we have the full gamut in our community. It was really about who you are, not what you do, and how you can do what you do very authentic to who you are. So I started to call myself an alternative business engineer. And I started helping people create these lifestyle businesses. And then we went bi-coastal that day, right? And by 2019, we went international. In 2020, we had the global pandemic, but it actually pivoted us to a real global organization because we already had everything that people were trying to figure out. We already had it, right? And we had been doing it for over 2 years. So we didn't have to pivot. We actually grew really fast during that time. I was a one-woman shop, so that was a little hard and scary. But I had to make the decision at the end of 2020 to either fold or scale way bigger than I am because I could no longer maintain it myself. So I had to do one or the other. I couldn't keep going. I ended up partnering with a branding expert who helped us rebrand our website, do new logos, new taglines, like the whole brand identity thing. And that's when we trademarked the word soul professional. And that really, I think, was our differentiator and really holding that space for people that are growing businesses in this new way, in this new paradigm, because I do believe that that's who we are going forward. That's the future of entrepreneurship. And we're global beings. We're moving all over the world. We're changing the way we do business. We can take clients from every country, and we need others like us doing it and bringing our gifts to the world. So now we're doing the same thing, just at a different platform. So now we are recognized as an organization like the American Medical Association or the Bar Association, and we are the association for soul-aligned entrepreneurs.
Oh, I just love that. I think that is just so like taking what it is that you love and just running with it full force. Right? Which I know is scary, right? And it's so hard for so many people to do. So tell me, when you decided, especially when California reached out to you and you realized like, holy crap, we've got to do something different.
Yeah.
What was the mindset then? And how did you kind of shift it to get yourself propelled forward to continue with the business?
The hardest thing, which I think is, I still deal with today, just in different ways, right? Is when you start a business, you need to scale it without you being the center of it all the time.
Yeah.
And that's where we start to delegate, right? I've made a lot of mistakes along the way, delegating and giving people responsibility for different pieces. Today, a lot of the members are also the mentors and the coaches and the people helping out. So the members do as much as I do now. And it's part of their way to be leaders within our community. And we offer that to our members to lead other areas. So I don't have to do it all. But in that situation, I had to decide, okay, if we're still going to have coffees, because we had coffee with Camille, I went online and still do coffee with Camille today every single month for all of our members to meet for coffee. It's still something we do, but I actually got regional directors to start holding coffees in their towns. So we would all have the same topic or theme of the month. And then other people ran those coffees. I ran mine online, but everyone else ran them in person for people that still wanted that in-person touch. And I didn't have to show up anymore.
I love that. Now, let me ask you this then, because I know that this tends to come up with a lot of people that are in business, is when you start shifting from being the center of attention to delegating out to other people so that you can be more available and you can be that leader to then help other leaders rise. What was your thought process? Like, were you great with it? Did you know that it needed to happen? Did you feel like there was kind of a pullback in going into it? Or give me kind of your thought process.
Yeah. So the interesting thing is I had already had positions as a CEO with lots of staff, right? In those positions, I was fine with it. I know exactly how it worked. But when it's your baby and you created it, it's a lot harder, a lot different. But there's no way to grow until I do that. Right. So that was different. I was constantly course correcting. We do not have those leaders today and those directors today. We do everything online, but we have like member meetups that members can do. And I may or may not show. And sometimes they're weekends and I go away and we just, meet places. But I still have to delegate a lot. I have a pretty big staff at this point. And there's still things I need to step out of that I won't. I still watch all of the finances, all of the billing. I still do all of that because I'm really haven't found the right person to hand that off to yet. But other things like our marketing, our strategy, our SEO, our admin, we have a community manager now that helps with a lot of the questions and the postings. And so it's easier and easier to delegate. And something that I just did is I just came back from London, and one of the things that I told my staff is I am not bringing my computer. And it really started because, oh my God, what if I break my computer? It gets lost, and the outlets were different anyway. Yeah. Right. And I was like, my cords won't work. I'll have to. And I was like, you know what? How about you go without a computer? Like, you have this whole staff. So to me, that was how I tested, can I really do this? And anything that I was running, I had other people run for me. And it went so smoothly that it kind of up-leveled me to say, okay, now I'm not going back. When I travel without a computer now, and I leave things to the staff and trust that they're going to get done. Things like that. So you cannot up-level without delegating. You can't do it. Your business can't grow. If you're the center of your business, you hit a ceiling every time. There is a ceiling. You can only do so much. So it really depends what you want. When I created this, I always wanted a virtual business because I travel. At the time, I wanted to live in Italy. Now it's probably somewhere else in Europe, but that was always the goal, always. So I needed to create a business that allowed me to do that. So I, to this day, don't take on more programs. I'm always looking for leaders within the community that want to do things. We always had a book club. I don't run those book clubs anymore, and we haven't really studied much books since. But any member can say, hey, I want to do a book club, and they can be the leader. So it's really just empowering other people.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to watch other leaders. Like, I love it, but I'm kind of the person that leads from behind people. I never really love being in the front.
Really?
So, yeah, it's not my space. But I have learned that I needed to be the face of this company for a while longer.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and I love that you're providing this culture for people to allow them to step into their leadership roles, because there's so many people out there that have amazing ideas, have amazing personalities, but they've never really had the chance to step into that role of leading. And they know that they could possibly do it, but nobody's really allowed them to, or they haven't had the chance, or they've always been afraid. And to me, this is like a really great stepping stone into like testing it out and saying, hey, I think I want to do this, and kind of seeing how it works, while still having the support like you and the other leaders provide to allow someone to step out of that comfort zone and step up to the next level and see if it's something that they're like, oh yeah, no, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. Or it was great, but I think what I realized is I prefer, one-on-ones, or I prefer smaller groups.
Right.
Like, it really helps people understand where they want to go and where they want to move forward.
Yeah. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in their expertise. Like I said, they could run a book club. They could run, a special interest group that's around something else, right? Like spiritualism or food or whatever their hobby could be too. It's a way, our group is way more than just business. It's really where you're finding business besties, and people that you want to hang out with.
Okay, so then now you got to tell me more about this, because that was going to be the next thing is, you said that you're motivated by purpose and not profit. And that's kind of was, the building block of what you have built. So now you have to fill me in, because now I'm really curious, like, of all these people, like you said, your business bestie, which for a lot of people I know, everyone seems to be searching for that, right? That's why a lot of people go to networking groups and they do this and they do that. And then it turns into either everybody's just kind of talking, or one person is kind of leading and everyone's listening, or everybody's trying to sell each other, right? Versus a community. So tell me more about yours and how yours is different, because I love this. Yeah.
So we're a community. We call ourselves a professional organization. We are not a networking group. Will you network? Yes. Do we have networking things? Yes. We have free levels, and then we have very targeted ones within the membership. So you're always meeting. We actually are also launching right now, what are we calling? A strategic introduction program. Ooh. So you tell us who you need to know, and we make sure you find them. Nice. Yeah, it's part of our paid membership level. Yeah, so we keep bringing to the table what people need to grow. If you've ever been to our networking, it is not status quo. It is not like everyone else. One of them, we pull soul cards and just put each other in groups, and we talk about things that are not business related. So you get to know the person, right? We do not offer opportunities for you to sell people, right? So we do business differently. We say a soul professional lives in a higher vibration, has an alternative approach to business, and is here to help repair the world. Right. So, and those are our core values, and that's what we stand by. So we do things very differently, but part of being an entrepreneur is finding other entrepreneurs. And if you're not hanging around people that are more successful than you are, you will never be successful. You can't. It's the law of attraction, right? No, I'm forgetting it. It's the law of who you hang out with, association, right? So if you're not hanging around with entrepreneurs, there's no way that you can become better, right? So the difference is when you're in a community quite like ours, and you're surrounded by very successful, all soul-aligned entrepreneurs, you can't help but overhear a conversation or hear a tip like, oh, I didn't even know that was a thing, right?
Yeah.
And to have these we have a lot of strategy calls. Coffee with Camille is this month. We talked about key performance indicators. What are you tracking in your business that's not revenue, right?
Nice.
Yeah, because if you only track revenue as an entrepreneur, you could have a really tough life, right? But if you
Yeah.
track the things that bring in revenue, like those baby steps, for me, I talk to 20 new people every single month and I track it. I have to talk to a minimum of 20 people. I don't have to sell 20 people. They don't have to be 20 people that are a part of my community. They are just 20 brand new people that I didn't know the month before. Right?
I
That's
love that.
240 conversations that I just have.
Yeah.
Right? And you become better at recognizing, are they part of my group? Are they not a part of my group? Is it someone I might have a different association with? I had a conversation yesterday with someone that's going to propel us in a totally different direction. And we met at another networking group. And it wasn't even our conversation. I saw something on our LinkedIn page and asked about it. And I was like, wait, I think we need to bring that into the community. This would really help members,
That's awesome.
and it started this whole other conversation, and because you never know.
Yeah.
And if you attach expectations to everything, you will always be disappointed. Right. But if you are detached to the outcome of every one of those conversations and you just help. So a new indicator that I started yesterday that I will start to track is how many people I'm introducing to each other. Right.
Oh,
Because
nice.
then that's the way I help people. Right.
Yeah.
So if that's one of my key indicators, then that will produce revenue somehow later. I don't know how. Right. But if I just say, okay, I want to make sure that I match 20 people a month and introduce them to other people.
Yeah.
That's a key indicator for me, right? I don't necessarily know what that brings in the future because I haven't started it, but it occurred to me yesterday, like, hey, I should be doing this. I know so many people.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
And
I
let's
love
see how
that.
that gets better. Right. So that's where I think community changes. And a lot of people belong to their chambers or BNIs or whatever it is for those people, or all of these online networking groups to sell to other people, right? What can I get out of it instead of what can I give to others? And I think that's the biggest differentiator for our group. Part of being in it is first to give. All of our mentors, all of our success people, even to run micro communities, if you're teaching a business skill, you have to make $500,000 or more, right?
Okay.
So you're not selling to that group. You're offering your services and you're a mentor to that group. So it's very different. There's not selling, there's no self-promotion in any of our groups. It's a much different way, and we weed out people that are there for the wrong reasons. It self-weeds out. We don't have to do a thing.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And we find that most of these people become friends. Most of my closest friends I've met through this group. Right. So it's amazing because there are like-minded people that you're hanging out with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And, and it makes so much sense too, because, when I started the podcast and I started chatting with more people, and my one ask with all of my podcast guests, especially very heavily in the beginning, was who do you know that I could connect with that might be a great guest? Like, can you connect me with at least 2 people? Right. And people started sending people to me, and I started doing these little discovery calls of getting to know people, which has then opened doors to other people, which has brought me in clients, like it's just all these things kind of start rolling. And now I get to be the one to be like, oh my gosh, who can I connect you with? Right. And when I'm done with my podcast, I'm like, most people that I interview get at least 3 to 5 emails from me of people that I'm connecting them to. And I've had so many people like, oh my God, that was such a great connection, or we're going to do this. And I'm like, yes, like that makes me feel good because you're also helping propel other people forward. And I do feel like, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, it works in mysterious ways, right? So if I'm having a conversation with someone and somebody clicks in my head, I'm writing that name down and I'm introducing them. I don't know why, but for some reason, that's what it's supposed to be. So if I am supposed to be that channel that makes that connection that then propels somebody's business forward or takes them to the next level or clears out something that they've been dealing with because they found the perfect person, like, I think that's so awesome to be a part of that process.
Agreed. And I think it's a hard mindset for some people to grasp, because they're like, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? What's in it for me? And that's really
Yeah.
the wrong way of looking at it, right? They're probably not
Yeah.
very soul aligned. So yeah, I think that's the biggest difference. And when you give, people give back,
Yeah.
because being a human is very reciprocal. It's just
Mhm.
who we are as humans.
Yeah.
Someone gives to us, we naturally want to give back. We
Yeah.
don't
Well,
forget that person.
and it comes from a different place, right? It's not
Yes.
like okay, who can I connect them to so that they'll think that, I did this. And like when you are authentically paying attention to that and opening
Yes.
up to that, you are making better connections for other people, which is going to then bring better connections for you to push you forward in some fashion, form, way, whatever the case may be.
Absolutely.
And I love that, because I will have to say that coming from the corporate world and working in medical and stuff, I did come into the entrepreneurial space of like, what do I got to do? Okay, if I'm helping this person, what are they going to do for me? Because I do feel like I was kind of taught that when I worked in that, because if I went above and beyond, then I got more work thrown at me, right? And nobody helped. So I had to be cautious and pay attention to what I did and make sure other people were doing what they were supposed to do, right? It's a different type of leadership. To me, entrepreneurial areas and connections, it's more of a true leadership instead of your corporate, which a lot of times tends to be a dominated leadership role.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah.
I love that. So now I know that, oh gosh, I think this is just so awesome. When you were moving through your roles and kind of in creating this, I know that you've met a lot of people along the way that are also trying to build. Do you have any moments that you went through or you've seen a lot of people kind of go through that you could share with the audience that may help them some way in their business, some type of commonality?
Yeah. Mistakes are normal. We, we've all made mistakes hiring the wrong coach or hiring the wrong admin person, second person, like, we've all made hiring mistakes. Every single one of us have thrown money. We've all have tinkered in debt at some point, and that's not all debt is bad debt. And if you've made a mistake, just forgive yourself and move on. I'm trying to think what else. That's just so many things. I just wrote, I'm writing my second book, and I did a whole chapter on mistakes I've made along the way.
Oh,
yeah, because you make them, but I think the most important thing is to give yourself grace and just go, yep, and look at it as a lesson, not a mistake, right? I always say, as long as you're failing forward, it doesn't matter, right? Just figure it out and move forward. I had this big thing I was doing. I decided I was going to do an in-person summit, and I put the whole thing together. I put speakers together. I had the hotel. I had everything, like big ends. And then I didn't sell enough VIP tickets, and I just had this thing like, this is not the time. And I just scrapped I lost tens of thousands of dollars, and I just scrapped the whole thing. Like, sometimes pulling the plug is the right thing to do. Like, don't keep going on something that's not right, doesn't feel good. So I've learned from that. Going too wide, we see lots of entrepreneurs that are like, let me get one more certification or one more thing, or I'll add a new program. And they go wide thinking if they have more things, they can attract more people.
Yeah.
And usually they attract less people because they're not focused, right? They're doing too many things all around. And it's really the narrow part that is attracting people, because they know exactly who you are or what you're selling or what you need or your service, right? And I think that is better. So when someone hires you or does services with you, they know exactly what they're getting. And you'll end up having raving fans from that, right? You want raving fans. You want people talking about you in a really good way. You don't want to just bring in clients that you're doing so work with, right? If they're not a good fit, let them go. Like, we used to have an annual membership, and I let that go to a month to month, because if people aren't happy, I want them to go. I don't want them in there miserable. It's like a bad apple.
Yeah.
I was like, let's just release them. And we
Yeah.
stopped that, and it gave people a month-to-month option, so they can stay or go. We've had people with us for 8 years. You know,
Which
we have
is so
some people
awesome.
that come a couple months and go, this isn't for me. And we're like, thanks for trying us out. That's good.
Yeah.
That's okay. You come
Yeah.
back. And we've had people that have left and come back and say, I made a mistake. I'm ready now. Right. And I'd rather have that than the money that's, you know, but then I feel like it's a bad product. So we're constantly improving things, but everyone makes mistakes. The thing is to tweak it along the way. An entrepreneur is someone that is constantly course correcting, constantly. They can pivot on a dime and change up their services, what they do, where they're doing it, you know, can constantly just go, okay, there's a big opportunity right there and I'm going to go. That's an entrepreneur. If you don't, or anyone listening does not have that flexibility or can't do it, then you've just given yourself a job. It's a much different mindset than something that you're getting up to do every single day. Or if you're actually an entrepreneur that's pivoting with the times and changing. But I think the most important thing is give yourself grace. Like, just allow things to be. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. I don't care what any book says, don't do it. If it doesn't feel right for you, just don't do it.
I think that's the hardest thing. And I had a really hard time with that when I got into the entrepreneurial space and I started kind of doing admin stuff and some coaching, but not really. I was mainly helping other people with their things. And it was weird trying to transition over, because you do want to kind of like hold on, because you're like, but it was working, while you're kind of like being pulled in this different direction. And that's the difference between, right, like scarcity and just like full on trust, right, of letting go. And a lot of times I feel like, and I've learned this the hard way as well, is you have to be okay with accepting that something isn't for you versus trying to shove it through that little bitty hole. Because when you are so focused on that, you're actually missing all the other opportunities that are right here in your face, waving, going, hi.
Exactly. Or growing out of things, right? As you grow, things that served you in your first 2 or 3 years may not serve you anymore. And plus, you're probably attracting someone different because you're different. You've grown. So you have to let stuff like that go, or tweak it, or get better, or increase your prices. Like, there's all sorts of things that need to be done, but it's just like going, okay, like we always ran this for 5 years. We've run our 90-day to goal challenge, which is the last 90 days of the year. We set goals and we have this big challenge. And what it does is propels people into the first quarter, right? So they're setting their goals or propels. And we did that. Last year was our 5th year doing it. But I noticed that I didn't have the energy to do it anymore, right? I didn't really care as much. Our members weren't as motivated. And then afterwards, when I talked to everybody, we still had great success with it. But when I talked to people, they're like, yeah, I think we're just tired. And I'm like, you know, maybe it's time that we just let this go. And there was a piece of me in the beginning, like, how can I let this go? This was like a signature program that we've had. And we used to bring in people at the end of the year for this challenge. Right. And now I've just decided I'm not doing it. Like, it's actually still in my calendar. And I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing because all the prep work would be done this summer. I was like, I'm just not doing it. Or if I do something, I'm doing it in a much different way. It's not going to be 90 days. I could do a September or something, but I'm just letting it go. And that's because I think as a community, we've grown out of that. Right. And the people that are joining us now don't need a 90-day push at the end of the year. They need to rest.
So
true. It's a different group that we're bringing in as well. So I think, you know, allowing things to just be is fine.
It's so much easier. It really is. Like, once you learn to like lean into it,
Yes.
It really is, because trying to control everything and know all the details and understand it all and try to figure it all out is so much pressure. And in the end, I think a lot of times you don't enjoy it as much, even if you do hit the goal, whatever the end is, because you've been so focused on just making sure that you can get it there that you don't even celebrate the end results, because you're like, oh yeah, okay, well that was supposed to happen, duh.
Yes.
Right.
Right. I agree. Yep. I agree
It's
with
like
that.
the end. And I know I used to do that a lot. I catch myself now trying to pay attention to that and making sure that I do celebrate it, even if it is something that I knew was going to happen, because you do have to continue to celebrate things, right? And if you're having to force yourself to celebrate it because you've been so hyper focused on everything else, it's probably time to tweak things a little bit.
Agreed. Totally agreed.
So now you have to tell me about your first book, since you're writing your second book, because I want to touch base on this just a little bit before we end, about your amazing book.
Yeah. So I'm actually writing a trilogy. So there will be 3. My first book here, it's actually behind me, but I'll show you. It's called The Ultimate Guide to Creating Your Soul Aligned Business, which is all about how you're setting it up, your thought process, what you like, what you don't like. And there's 25 stories of entrepreneurs and their stories of going through how they set up their business and that whole piece. And that was the first book. The second book will be out in July. It's going through editing right now. I have the cover, but I don't have one to show you. Is called The Ultimate Guide to Becoming a Successful Soul Professional. And that's up-leveling your business above 6 figures or whatever success. There's some stories is like whatever success is for you, because 6 figures is a US thing, not a international, right? So we changed it from a 6-figure soul professional to a successful soul professional. And those are all stories of people, mostly in leadership, that have built brands. Some are at that 6 level, some are multi-millionaire levels. And we even have a guy that was an NFL veteran and Super Bowl champ. And he talks about, leaving the NFL and creating his new company and what that looked like. So it's all levels of success.
Oh, I love that.
And the third one will be out next year, which is, I don't have the exact title, but it will be on leaving your legacy. Like, what's the legacy you want to leave in the world? Because why are you doing this? Whatever it is you're doing. So each book is a level up from that, and they also follow our membership levels in the community of people just coming in, starting to 6 figures, and then $1 million. Yeah,
that is
legacy.
Awesome. And I love that you change it to success, because I have talked to so many people on the podcast that like success is so different for so many people.
Yes.
Right. And for some people, it's like you were saying, it's not all about the amount of money that I can make and that huge profit. It's just doing what I absolutely love and being able to give and share with other people and knowing that it's coming back. Right. Like for some people, that is success. And I think that a lot of times it's so pushed. When we talk about success, quote unquote, it's always got a number tied to it. And then I feel like sometimes for a lot of people, I know even for me, when I first started kind of thinking about it, when I was tying a number, like that's what made me feel icky, right? But like success to me really was freedom. I want to be able to travel and I want to be able to be in different areas and I want to have investment properties. Like that to me is success, because that's freedom to be able to do what I want to do on my time. While yes, that does require a certain amount of money to be able to have that luxury, freedom ultimately, right, is my piece of success. And I love that you've defined it that way, instead of tying that number to it, because it's not the same for everybody. Not everybody wants to get to 6 figures or $1 million, right? Some people are just happy with the
and it's not. And how I found out, and I wrote about this actually in the introduction, was when I was recruiting for authors. I had a few that say, well, I'm successful, but I don't have 6 figures. And most of them were out of the country or in a different area. And then I went, you know what? I'm defining what success is, because we talk about it that way. We own the trademark 6-Figure Souls, right? And my podcast is called 6-Figure Souls, Doing Good and Making Money. So I wanted that word, a 6-figure soul, right? And I realized 6 figures is a US thing. Right. And you can be wildly successful and live in another part of the world where you'll never hit 6 figures and you're living a more quality life than I am here. Right. So it was as I was looking for people, I was like, wait, that is a success story. So let me, I ended up changing the thing, but it's all very well off success stories, but everyone defines success differently. And the intro says that. I said, honestly, success to me isn't a number, because I could have success at a lower number.
Yeah.
But I want to be able to send my kids plane tickets anywhere in the world to come meet me.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, I'm in Italy this weekend. Here's your tickets. Just go to your local airport. That's my definition of success.
Yeah.
I don't know what number that is,
Yeah.
but that's how I define success for me.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so amazing. So now are the books, where we'll be able to find them on Amazon? Are they
are on Amazon. Yeah. You can
Okay.
also go to my
Awesome.
website, soulprofessional.com. Only the first one's available right now. If they buy it on my website, I just sign it, but you can buy it on Amazon as well. And the
Awesome.
second book will be released in July.
I love that. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, Camille, this has been amazing talking to you. I love this. Like, it's just such a different perspective. It's so open. It's so unique. And it's like, I can even feel it when you're talking about it, like the sense of community and the energy that you want to give to people without anything, behind it. Like, it's just, I just love it. I love this kind of stuff. This is
Thank
why I love
you.
meeting people. So one thing I always ask from all of my podcast guests before we end is, do you happen to have a quote or a piece of advice that you'd like to leave the audience with?
One that comes to me, that at the top of my head, that Oprah Winfrey said when I was in my 20s. It's probably not even written. She said it on a show one day, and I never forgot it. It said, you can have it all. You just can't have it all at once.
Oh.
And I have lived by that my whole life. So I never feel I'm missing out, or I can get that at some point, because I know that there will be a point in my life when that happens for me, right? So I want to be a world traveler now, but when I had 3 kids at home as a single mom, that was not a possibility for me. But I never thought that wasn't me, right? Because it's just not my time yet, because I have to get these kids off. And now as they all graduate college, I'm like, I'm out of here.
My time.
Yeah, this is me. I'm good. I'm more like, do you need me home for Mother's Day? Is that a thing?
Mom's busy. We're going to have
Yeah. So
that.
that has really carried me through. And that was through Oprah Winfrey, which is probably one of my biggest idols in the world.
I love that. And that's so true. And that's, it's kind of liberating in a way, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because we all have so many different roles, especially as a woman. We have so many roles that we play, and we can't be all that roles all day long for everybody. We just can't be. Sometimes I'm a mom, sometimes I'm a daughter, sometimes, well, I'm not a wife or a girlfriend, but there was a time in my life I was, though. Right? So it's like, just kind of knowing. And now I'm like, I'm identifying as a world traveler. I got a big map now, right? I bought that like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I started it with pins, but I found one on Amazon where I can scratch and it changes color.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So I have one of the entire US, and I have one of the rest of the world that, because I also want to travel this country. I really want to do that in an RV, but that's like a whole new thing. Right. And with each of my kids, as they graduate college, can choose one place in the world they want to visit as their last mommy and me trip.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
That would be kind of fun. I'd be like, where haven't I been? Like, pick a place I haven't been. So I can...
Heads, we're going here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Camille, thank you so much for all the information and sharing your amazing insight with this amazing community that you have built. Please tell us, how can everybody get in touch with you? How can they follow you and find you online? Yeah,
so the best place to go is soulprofessional.com. Everything you need to know is there. I am on all the places, the Instagram, the LinkedIn, the TikTok. I have my own TikTok, YouTube, podcasts. I think we syndicate to like 84 channels. So, nice. But soulprofessional.com will get you to all of those places. And, we have a lot of free stuff. So if what we do aligns with who you are, just come join us. I love that. Well, thank you so much, Camille. You are welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. So to everybody out there, I hope you guys got some amazing takeaways. And if you are looking for a soul aligned community, here you go. Go to her website. We'll have everything linked in the show notes as well. And to everybody else out there, until next time, don't forget, do one thing for someone each and every day and see the difference it makes in your life. So until next time, have a fantastic day.
Hello again, and thank you so much for being a part of the podcast today. If you enjoyed this episode and it brought tons of value, we ask that you please share, like, and subscribe. Your support means the world to us and helps us to reach even more inspiring entrepreneurs who can benefit from these powerful conversations. If you haven't already, be sure to leave a review on your favorite podcast platform, as this feedback is an amazing gift that fuels our growth and helps us to continually improve this podcast. Looking for an extra dose of inspiration and empowerment? Then be sure to connect with me on social media. You can find me at The Lotus Effect, where I share valuable resources and tips while sharing my own journey of being an entrepreneur. And if you're interested in learning more about my coaching programs and services, be sure to check out my website at the-lotus-effect.com. Once again, thank you so much for being a part of Real Chat with Kat. Your presence and support makes all the difference. Remember, whether you find yourself in the depths of the mud or on the path of growth, we all have a unique journey. And just like the lotus, some of us start in the dirtiest of mud, yet as we rise and grow, we blossom into something beautiful, unique, and truly one of a kind. To all of my visionaries out there, keep rising and growing as you create your own Lotus Effect.